I'm Ariane Zurcher. Welcome to On the Other Hand. I thought I'd talk a little bit today about just feeling kind of blah, just sort of feeling like nothing I do I like. I don't really, it's all kind of eh. So what I do when I hit those bumps is I just go back to finding some thread that goes with a portion of my background, right? So right now I'm thinking this part, so I picked this thread. It's a Steph Francis Pearl 8. I often will use an 8 weight because it's a lighter weight thread, and therefore it's just easy to stitch with. It's not going to be a big deal. If I don't like it, it doesn't matter. It's just, if nothing else, it's going to add a little texture to the piece. Part of it is just keeping my expectations really low and I'm setting myself up for success, basically. So I'm finding a thread that goes with this background. So this is a variegated. And I'm just going to do some very simple straight stitches. And I might just have them kind of emanate out. I'm not thinking a lot about what I'm doing because when I feel this way, it doesn't really matter what I do. It just feels like it's not good enough. I wanted to talk about that because I feel like, we see people's work, right, when it's done, or maybe when they're in the midst of it. But we don't talk a lot about what do you do when you just feel kind of about it all. And there are things that can be done, what I call setting myself up for success. Because knowing that I'm feeling that way can then tell me what I need to do. So knowing that I'm feeling kind of blah about everything tells me that I need to do something really, really simple. Nothing too outrageous. Go with what's safe. And what I know is safe is doing a whole bunch of stitching in a background. Sometimes I'll just do, an hour of seed stitch. And typically that's because I just was feeling a little bit uninspired and I didn't know what to do. And so it felt like that was a safe way to go. By the way, if you get a lot of knots in your thread, you can try threading your needle on the other end of the thread. Sometimes it's the twist that's happening. Sometimes it's just that I took too big of a piece of thread. So yeah, I'm just going around here. I'm not thinking too much about what I'm doing. I'm doing this pretty random. I'm just doing a series of straight stitches. I'm not really thinking too much about any of it. And I'm definitely not letting myself believe the voice that says, ew, what's that? Because honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's just some background stitching. And if I do a lot of background stitching here, it can add quite a bit of interest without calling to itself too much. So then I sort of alternate the direction. And now maybe I'll do a little French knot here, even though I'm working on a chenille. This piece is really big, so it's a little bit hard to, it can start getting a little challenging as far as like just bunching the fabric up and, and even the French knot. I'm not doing a big, beautiful, tight French knot. I'm just doing kind of a loose French knot. It's okay. And maybe I'll do one more right there. And then I'll go back to doing a couple of straight stitches. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about this. And maybe I'll go over here. And maybe I'll do some detached chains. I like keeping them pretty little. And maybe I'll actually do a little slip detached chain here. And then I like to bring in another thread just for fun. Maybe another thread weight. I could even do the same colorway, but in a size 5. Maybe I'll get some French knots in here, or a little colonial knot. This is a double slip detached chain. Those are always kind of fun. And yeah, maybe a little, maybe I'll do a cluster of French knots here and here, and maybe some more detached. I might fill in, I don't know. I'm just going to keep going. But what this does is it kind of gets me out of my feeling. Like I just, I'm just, as I said, I'm setting myself up for success. I'm not making anything too crazy. I'm not doing anything too daring. I'm pretty much using colors that blend in with the background, but that are going to add a little interest. I'm not going to really worry about anything that I'm doing. yeah, I might do some seed stitches here now, you know. Maybe I could do a little turkey work, like a little tuft of it somewhere in here too. But the point is to just do something, you know. I get tired of doing one thing, let me do something else. I get tired of doing that, let me change my thread. And eventually, if I let myself do this for long enough, I almost always not only get out of my funk, but I end up thinking, oh, that wasn't so bad, you know? And then maybe I'll have ideas for something else that are a bit bolder, a bit more adventurous, a bit more exciting. But for now, I'm not going to think about any of that. I'm just going to think about stitching through the feelings. You know, just stitching through the feelings. And when I'm feeling a little bit more energetic, I'll do something else. But for right now, this is, you know, it feels like this is what I can do. And that's fine. So I'll keep doing this, and then I'll show you how things look once I've done this for a while. I'll also tell you how long I ended up working. Okay, my thread. All right, so I've been working away here, and I started to even go off doing other things into this part, and I did some things over here. This is the main bit that I had been working on before when I was talking about just kind of doing background. Another thing that I do is I thread up a whole bunch of needles with different threads. So I've got an 8 mercerized cotton from Steph Francis. I've got a pearl cotton number 5 from Steph Francis. I've got this sheep silk it's an 8 weight from the Thread Gatherer, and something that I'm not sure. I think it says sheep silk from the Thread Gatherer as well in a green. One of the things I didn't mention was I do background color and then the color that's directly next to. So if you have a color wheel, you know, you're going to see the blue, and then next to blue is green. So I'll do those colors. If I had a lot, especially because there's a lot of green and blue in here. If there was more blue to red, I might do blues to violets kind of thing. But it's easy to work green in, even though, because there is green in the background as well. So, but even if there wasn't, I could work green in without any problem. So it's just an easy way, and then I just sort of put them to the side, and then I grab things so that I can stitch a couple of different threads all at the same time. So I'm just gonna keep going. But this is what I've done so far after an hour and a half or so. A lot of this I'd already done, but yeah, it's just part of the process, and I'm not feeling quite so about everything. This was another area that I was very sort of, I don't know if that was a good idea. But what I can do now is I can come in with some of my sort of blue greens to soften all of this. Okay. So most importantly, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep stitching. I don't know, you know, do I love it? Not really, but that's okay. I'm gonna keep moving forward, and eventually, if I give myself the time to keep stitching here, I'll get to a place where I'm going to at least like it better, you know. and hopefully I'll even like it a lot. That's kind of the goal. The goal for me is not to love it right off the bat. The goal for me is really to put stitches down and to not rip it out. That's the goal. The loving it, liking it, disliking it, it's kind of doesn't have any consequence. I have to give myself the chance to keep going. I can't judge it before it's had a chance to even develop. It isn't fair to the piece, and it's not fair to me. And but that critic is super healthy and very loud, and can just tell me how awful it is anyway. But I have to gently remind myself that's okay. But that's okay. I can keep going anyway. And I don't have to love it right now. What I have to do is not rip it out. That's the key. Don't rip it out. Not yet. During my improvisational stitching workshop, I say, if you can sit with the ugly, you're halfway there. Like you just have to give yourself that room. You've got to be able to sit with what you don't like and not rip it out. Because if you rip it out, you're never going to be able to develop it past that initial stage. And there's no way I'm going to fall in love with the beginning. I mean, it just, it's, I've spent a couple hours stitching and I'm thinking it's going to be a masterpiece. Well, no. Why? Why would I think that? That's not how it works. These things have to develop over time, over a lot of time. And with hand stitching, we're talking about hundreds of hours. So it can't be about loving each stitch. It has to be about the process. It's got to be about the process, or it's just going to be a lesson in just constant dislike and being unhappy. But there's a lot of discomfort in this kind of work. There can be. There can also be a great deal of joy. But if you can get through the discomfort part and just see it as part of the deal, and that if you sit through it long enough, it's going to go and shift and be something else. And after a while, after you've practiced sitting with it over and over and over and over, hours and hours, the discomfort does dissipate and it becomes something else. And then the next time the discomfort comes, you're going to remember that. You can remember. It's like muscle memory. You remember, oh, I've felt this before. I don't do anything about it. I just keep working anyway. And it dissipates. And that somehow makes it easier. It makes the next time easier. So you're sort of building a muscle. You're in training and you're building a muscle. And that muscle, once it's well developed, is going to give you the ability to feel the discomfort and not even pay attention to it. On a good day, I can feel the discomfort, but I know that it's just a feeling. It's nothing more, and it doesn't mean anything. And if I just keep going anyway, I can allow this, give it time to develop to a point where I'm really going to enjoy it. And this is just something that you have, it's one of those things. You've just got to do it. You've got to give yourself the chance. If you don't give yourself the chance to sit with it and feel that discomfort and see that you can work through it anyway, then you won't be able to build that muscle. You've got to build the muscle. It's all about building that muscle and making it really strong. So you've got this strong foundation. It doesn't mean you're never going to feel uncomfortable again. You will. Chances are. I do. But I don't let it define what I'm doing. I don't let it tell me, therefore I need to just stop and not do anything ever again, So I'll keep going, and I'll show a photo of how this began, just so you see, because it's kind of funny to see. This is how it began. These little stitches right here. And did I like it? No, I did not. Not happy. Didn't love it. But I gave it the chance to grow and grow and grow and continue and develop. And that's what I need to do with this. I have to give it the chance to become whatever it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. It's developing. And, my job is to encourage the development and to cheer it on and to keep looking at what can I do that might be a little different. What can I do that might change this up just a little bit? How's the composition? What about the colors? Do I have a nice variety of threads? Is there a real conversation going on here? Is it a give and take, or is it just one person dominating the conversation? I don't want any one shape, color, or thread to dominate the conversation. I want there to be a flow. So that's what I'm doing. I'm encouraging, it's like being a good host at a party. You have to sort of try to coax people who might be feeling a little shy or self-conscious, so you introduce them to this person and mention something that they have in common. And then if that doesn't work, you go over and see if this person, or you leave them alone because they need to be, they just need some space, or, whatever. But you gotta, you're always thinking, you're always sort of looking around, observing. And so right now, I just love these colors. So I feel like I can't really go wrong. I'll just keep going.